Let me give some high-level figures on those clients. Client A is providing power for about 1/3 of the Swiss population, has more than 100 power plants, different technologies, of course. Currently, we're monitoring around 30 OT sites. That's growing. The rollout of the coverage of those OT sites is ongoing. And within those OT sites, we monitor more than 8,000 assets or devices that are within those OT networks. The orange parts are some numbers of our cyber fusion centers, of our analysts. Of course, I cannot give you more details on those alerts or stuff we collected in the backend. Client B is a bit smaller, covers 1 million people or provides power for about 1 million people in Switzerland. They have more than 80 substations, Unterwerke. They have quite a large power grid, and again, some facts or figures from our backend. Important, what services do we provide to those clients? We monitor the IT networks, we monitor OT networks. One client has a vulnerability scanning service from us. We manage for both clients, we manage their security devices, means we take care of their CM and sensors that we deploy and use for our services. We have to maintain them, of course, and keep them up to date and keep them secure. Both clients have managed EDR solution from us in place. And last but not least, for both clients, we're their partner for incident response. So both for the IT-related incidents, but as well for the OT-related incidents. Good, so much about the introduction. Now let's focus now on the convergence, on the subject of the presentation. First, I start with a very known fact. IT networks and OT networks, they are completely separated. We heard that this morning before at the expression air-gapped. They should be completely separated. What we see though in reality, whenever we go out to prospects or talk to some people as well in the sites out there, reality is no, those networks are not separated. They have connection points, they have bridges, they have some connections between each other. And if we look at that connected parts, what does it mean for us? That means, on a very basic level, threats or threat actors that are within the IT environment, they can move over to the OT environment, or vice versa. That means if an OT engineer in a factory brings in his USB stick that might be infected by a malware and attaches that USB stick to his engineering station, that malware eventually could affect the Active Directory, for example, in the IT department. And having that in mind, what does it mean now for us? It means just monitoring the IT environment is not enough. We really need to monitor IT environments as well as OT environments. So, monitoring IT environments, that is nothing very special anymore nowadays. For us, it's business as usual, I say. But what is the difference in monitoring than OT networks? So if we look at OT networks, we see, hey, after all, already the name says it, it's a network. There's some similarities. from a top view, they have firewalls, they have network zonings, so pretty similar. But if we go a step closer, if we take a deeper look at what is communicated, what is transferred over the network, first thing that we see is, holy moly, there's really a lot of vintage stuff. I don't even call it a legacy system anymore. It's way older than legacy system. It's old stuff. And those old devices, that old or vintage stuff, they talk and communicate in a different way. Like almost every vendor still has its own language or protocols, and standardization, oh well. Now, stepping back again, looking at the high level, at the similarities. Yes, it's a network. Some traffic is being transferred over that network, and the network is regulated by firewalls. So ideas can be, of course, hey, let's just integrate that OT firewall into the existing IT monitoring CM. Yes, for sure. Or let's look at the traffic. I mean, we already have IT tools to monitor IT networks. Why shouldn't we as well use those IT tools to monitor that OT traffic? Cannot be that different, can it? Well, theoretically, it works. Yes, you can attach a firewall to a CM, no problem. But does it really help that much? No. For us, that's our experience. It does not really bring you that much added value. If we want to be successful in monitoring as well OT networks, we need to be able to answer 3 basic questions. So first question is very clearly, what assets do we need to monitor at all? Do we know that? Whenever we go out as well to clients or prospects or site owners, site responsibles, and ask them, do you know what assets we actually should monitor within your network? Their eyes are getting bigger. They have vague ideas of somewhere between 50 and maybe 80 devices, could be even 100, or vague answers. Maybe they even have Visio drawings. And then if you look, last updated 10 years ago. So really, question 1 is, what exactly do we need to monitor? And once we know what assets or what devices, what network components or devices within the network we have to monitor, we should know, are these assets vulnerable? What are the vulnerabilities related to the assets that we detected, that we know that we have to monitor? So really, first part is getting the visibility. And once we have that visibility, once we know what assets we need to monitor, once we know what are the related threats or vulnerabilities to those assets, then we can concentrate on the third question. Is someone abusing those holes, those vulnerabilities, those attacking paths? So now, how do we do that? First, we really use dedicated technology to get that visibility. That means we really use OT-specific monitoring technology to get an insight in here. And monitoring OT networks, what does it mean? How do we do it? We attach sensors to a spam port within the OT network. That sensor is listening in a passive way to whatever is exchanged over the network. This is an absolute key feature for any OT-related solutions. The biggest fear of all OT people is that you could that some IT guy is coming here and could possibly disrupt his production line. So it really has to be a passive solution, a non-intrusive solution that can do no harm to the existing network and to the existing processes. So that technology, by listening to the traffic that is exchanged over the network, is creating an inventory for us with all details. But visibility for us does not just mean we want to have a list of all assets. No, we want to go a step further. We want to know as well the logical grouping, maybe based on the Purdue model or virtual network segmentations. And last but not least, really important for us and for our analysts, who is talking to whom, who communicates with whom. Again, for this part, to get that visibility, we really use dedicated OT, specific monitoring technology. Okay, now we got that, we know what assets, we have the answer to question one, what assets do we need to monitor? Now we can advance to second question, are there any vulnerabilities related to those assets? And vulnerabilities is not just known vulnerabilities where some patching has not been taken place, but as well could be, do they still have default passwords from their installation 20 years ago? Or do they maybe, are there maybe some stations that perform privileged operations that should not have been performed on those devices? So really we want to get that insight into what related threats, what threats are related to those identified assets. Again, dedicated technology to get the visibility for what assets do we monitor and what are the related vulnerabilities. And now, once we have answered those two first questions, we can concentrate on question number 3. Is there an attack going on? And how do we do that now? Here, again, we use the dedicated specific OT monitoring technology that we deploy at the client. On top of that technology, we implement our so-called use case framework. That means we have that is the logic behind the whole thing for when do we want to get alerted. And now the technology in combination with our use case framework creates an alert, and that alert is being sent back to our Cyber Fusion Center. So here is where everything happens now. First, we do some correlation, like has that detected asset been involved in previous alerts or incidents or attacks? Is that user logged in to other stations as well, or is that user been affected or known for bad behavior internally? After that correlation, we do a post-incident enrichment. We add business intelligence, like, for example, is that a VIP user, or is that a highly critical system? Is that one of the crown jewels of the company? We add as well threat intelligence. We had this morning really interesting talks about threat intel. So we have open source, closed source. We use that information as well to enrich the alert that we receive, and so that the analysts in the core part of the Cyber Fusion Center, they have really a good starting point to do their analysis. Our analysts, 7x24, we don't offer 5x9, like we heard it this morning. We are completely convinced you have to cover 7x24, no other options for us. Those analysts, they start with the attack validation. What is the attack validation? Now they take up the alert that they receive in the backend, which is enriched and gives quite some information. They connect to the technology deployed at the client's environment, and there they check now what has been done before, what was doing after the incident, what happened left and right, and finally they filter out first the false positive alerts, and then for the confirmed security incidents, they really give a contextualized message to the client. Contextualized means it's not just playing a technology ping pong. It's not a cryptological technology message that we forward to the client, say something strange happened at your environment. No, our analysts have done a good job. They clarified what has happened. They described that in a human understandable language. We related to what phase of the cyber kill chain was that happening, because if it's in an early stage of an attack, like in the reconnaissance, the risk most probably is lower than in a post-breach action, like data exfiltration, for example. And they describe that and give out that information to the client. A key part as well of that whole service is our basic belief in assume breach. No matter how well you protect yourself, we assume sooner or later an attacker will be able to get into your system and do some harm. And that not trusting anything, that zero trust mentality that we have, even for the technology that we use and we deploy, we don't just wait for alerts from that technology and our use case framework to come back to us and then we react to those alerts. No, our analysts go day by day, they go out and do a proactive threat hunting. We have heard that in the morning as already, so as an important part. Really, we don't trust anything, not even the technology that we deploy, and therefore we go hunting for indicators of attack or strange behaviors or processes that should not be there. So that is an add-on to the passive monitoring way. Good. So I know a lot of information within a very short time frame. I try to summarize it. In order to get a good OT monitoring capability, we need first visibility. We need to know what assets do we have to monitor, what are the vulnerabilities related to those assets, and last but not least, is someone abusing those vulnerabilities? Is there an attack going on? And how do we do that? Again, here we use our fusion capabilities. Fusion means merging together, bringing it together. What do we bring together, or what do we fuse? That is the technology, the dedicated technology that we deploy for each environment. So IT monitoring tools for IT monitoring, OT monitoring tools for OT monitoring, and of course, cloud monitoring for solutions for cloud monitoring parts. In addition, with our use case framework, the logic behind it that we implement on those technologies, we receive alerts, and those alerts are then merged or fused or injected in the backend into our Cyber Fusion Center, where we do the correlation between different services or existing incidents and alerts. We enrich those alerts so that the analysts have a fantastic way to start their attack validation. We don't just wait for alerts, no, we go proactively out as well. And of course, we are completely linked to the incident response team for all possible incidents that we see. And after filtering out all the false positive alerts, our analysts then create useful contextualized messages to a client. It's important that the client who receives the message knows and clearly understands what has happened, and as well, what are the recommendations that we give him. Clear, understandable, easy recommendation how to maybe isolate the host or whatever action is required. We do that in our MSS client portal. So the client as well, no matter how many services he has from us, if he monitors IT and OT, he has a single pane of glass. He does not have to jump into the IT monitoring tool and then jump to the OT monitoring tool. No, he has a single point of view where he gets the whole view on his security posture.
Always, we do have a very nice question from the audience. I thought it was very fitting to interject now. Rolf-Richter asks, are all monitored data remain on customer service premise, or are you collecting the data in your SOC? I thought that was quite a good question.
Yes, that is a very good question. No, the data stays within the client environment. Normally for IT monitoring tools, we use CM-based solutions, and all the logs stay within the CM that is deployed at the client's environment. OT solutions as well, they have sensors and enterprise management consoles where all the logical data stays, and only the alerts are being sent back to our Cyber Fusion Center. So as well in regards of GDPR and personalized data and stuff like that, we only send alerts and not the whole message to the Cyber Fusion Center.
Perfect.
Good. I hope I could make it a bit clear. I know it's a very short time. Last but not least, last slide here now, some recommendation on common questions or problems or statements that we hear every once in a while or whenever we go out. First of all, that one size fits all. I have an IT monitoring solution tools. Yes, we use that for monitoring OT networks as well. Our clear recommendation is the one size fits all does not work. Use dedicated tools to monitor IT environments. Use dedicated OT tools for monitoring OT environments. A second statement that we meet a lot is, oh, we have a small SOC, you know, and that small IT SOC that is taking care of everything related to IT. We're not connected at all to the OT people. They have a small team and they do their own stuff. Our strong recommendation is use a converged SOC. Use a SOC that is really covering everything. I mean, in this presentation, I've been talking now about IT and OT. We are currently working on a very interesting project with a large automotive producer in Europe, and they want a supplier, MSSP, that can do for them not only monitoring their IT environments and their OT factories. The automotive industry has even a third part, that is all the software, all the logic that is deployed within the new cars. The smart cars, they have some logic as well, that is the IoT part. So they want now a single SOC provider that covers for them IT, OT, and IoT in that case now. So we're working on that. That is really, I believe that is really the future. You want to get a holistic view. You want to get the full view of the security exposure of the entire company and not just part of the company. And the last hint or recommendation is, even if you see great technology, maybe you like the screenshots that I just showed and say, oh, I want to have that technology, and then I buy it, and then maybe I'm lucky to find some provider that can manage that software for me. Try to turn it around. Try to define first what is your outcome that you want to achieve by getting that technology, and describe the outcome, and then look for a service. Don't care about the technology. There's enough security providers that should take care and know the details about the technology, and get the outcome, get a service. That is our recommendation based on the different scenarios that we have seen.
Perfect.
So that's what it looks like here in our Cyber Fusion Center. Yes, glad to take any questions.
Well, you know, we're over time. I'll tell you what. Can I put your email address in the chat box?
For sure, yes.
We had one on skills, and I'm sure that's a whole nother angle we can go down on. I'll tell you what. Let's do that. Let's put your email address in the chat box, and we can do it that way. But always, this is fantastic. This is when I went to your colleague Gert and I asked him, can we do such a presentation? This is exactly what I was hoping for. So that's really good. Well, please give always a wonderful virtual round of applause. Thank you very much for your questions and comments, and yes, please do send them in the main chat box or the question feature. Let's give always a wonderful round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip.
I will see you again very soon, and I will put you back in the audience.